Ooh.
Welcome to episode 12 of the Witchy Weirdos Podcast.
Oh my god, crazy.
I know.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Tiffany. And today I'm going to be talking about some summer camp, and I've got some camping in general, just creepy stories.
Yeah,
some
it
very,
was
very interesting.
hard to find stories about summer camp specifically.
I think I only found 2.
I thought it would be a lot easier than it was.
I found some good ones. I think I started to read them and then I stopped because I was like, okay, I want the surprise.
Yeah, after the suspense of last week, we've learned this is a good thing to do now.
Absolutely. One other thing, since the last podcast, we have actually made a YouTube channel. What we're going to be doing is basically uploading all of the podcasts that we have now to that channel. We just can't find artwork that is, one to put over it. And then we're going to be figuring out a filming situation.
Yes.
Hannah and I don't live together or near each other, so it's not really possible for us to film together. But I've been trying out some stuff with Zoom and some other interesting things. So I think next week we'll be able to try filming ourselves. Exciting. Yeah, completely different and very fun. But yeah, that'll be next week though. This week, summer camp stories. Yes. Creepy summer camp stories.
It. Well,
do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
I have actually got my own creepy camp story.
No, you don't. Oh my God.
Maybe I'd throw that one in to start us off.
Please.
So I was a girl guide when I was younger, like a lot of people were. And we once went on a weekend camping trip. And it was supposed to be a proper camping trip. We were all supposed to put up tents and everything. And then the trusty British weather screwed us over and it absolutely tipped it down for the entire weekend.
Oh, no.
And this isn't even just a little bit of annoying rain. This was too flooded to put up any tents, real issues kind of rain.
Oh, wow.
So what they had to do is the place I was staying had a hut, essentially, that you weren't really supposed to stay in, but they basically said to us, you can stay in this hut as like a last minute solution to the fact we couldn't put our tents up.
Okay.
But there wasn't enough space in it for everyone. So the other group, half the group, had to go and sleep in the stables, which is just so creepy. And so I actually was part of the group that slept in the hut. But from the group in the stables, they had a really rough night that first night. They kept saying they could hear horses, and these weren't active stables. These were abandoned, concrete old stables that were now used for storage or for activities.
And they could hear horses.
So they could hear horses. They could hear people walking around. It was all very creepy. So the next night, it's still too wet for us to put our tents up, and this first group of people had just been nope, not doing it, not staying in there again. There was this big vote about whether, how we should do it. Should we try and put our tents up? Should we try and cram everyone in? What should we do? Mm-hmm. And so me and my friend were the eldest 2 guides in this group that had gone camping. And so we kind of bit the bullet and we decided we would sleep in a tent. So we'd managed to get 1 tent up. So we slept in that tent and everybody else stayed in the hut. So nobody was in the stables. It was all well and good.
Okay.
So it was just me and my friend in this tent, and it's probably 3 a.m. or something along those times, as you do.
Of course.
And I'm not the best at camping anyway. I'm a light sleeper, so I hear anything and that's me up. But it had kind of hit that 3 a.m. point, and I was lying there when I started to hear hooves and horse footsteps. And, this totally could be something that I could put on the fact that the kids before had heard things and had said they'd heard things, and it was in my mind. But I just lay there for I think 20 minutes listening to these hoofs come closer and closer to my tent.
Oh my God.
And it was freaking horrendous. And my dumb ass, my way of coping with this was not to wake my friend up and say I think I can hear something, but to decide that the best plan of action was to go to the toilet.
Hannah!
And get out of the tent. And I don't know why. So you had to go into the toilet in pairs anyway. So I woke up my friend in the pouring rain to go to the toilet because I was so freaked out by this like horse that I thought I could hear. And lo and behold, there was nothing outside the tent.
Oh my god!
And actually, I think it would have been better if I'd come outside the tent and saw like a fox or something that could explain the noise, but there was nothing there.
Oh,
so
I'm in full chills.
That is my like little camping kind of story.
It's so interesting that that's your like fight or flight. But that's what you did.
Like, why is that my reaction? Toilet. That's the solution to all my issues.
Toilet, yes.
Toilet.
Honestly, it's kind of smart.
Like so they had like a house and stuff on this campsite, and it was all very creepy anyway. Like it just had those old creepy vibes. But that is like, I've spent ages trying to rack my brain seeing if I can remember anything. But that is the one thing I can definitely remember.
Nice.
So yeah.
Wow. You've just jogged my memory as well.
Oh my god.
I completely buried this.
Yes,
but I've just remembered it now.
Relive your trauma.
Yes, that's what this podcast is apparently about now. Okay, so this is probably going to not make too much sense because it's literally just coming back to me now. But when it was a summer holiday, I must have been like 16, 17. I think it was between 1 year of GCSEs and the next. So I must have been like, 15 going to 16?
Yeah, 15.
And I was sent to PGL. Did you ever hear of PGL?
Oh, yeah, I went to PGL.
Yeah. So the one in the Isle of Wight.
Oh, lush.
Yeah. So I was sent there, and I was sent with like a small group of like at-risk kids.
Always fun.
Yeah, it was an interesting group. Well, I'll leave it there though. And so PGL is like it's like a summer camp, but it's like a bunch of different activities, and it's really fun. It's really cool.
It's like the UK's version of a summer camp, isn't it?
Yeah.
You tend to go with like schools and stuff over going of your own free will.
Yeah, exactly. But we were doing a bunch of activities, and then there was this one that for some reason, I'd never done it before, but I like fully dreaded it all week. And it was at the end of the week, and it was like caving, but it was like the muddy caves, not the wet ones, but just the ones with like really tight like crawl spaces in.
Ew.
And basically what you had to do was like, I remember the entrance actually, it was like a dark cave you would just walk into. It was like a massive tunnel. And I just remember all week I was like, I feel really weird about this one. And I really, like, something in me was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. And I've never done anything like it since, I can tell you that.
It sounds awful.
I'd worked it up in my head, and then I had to do it. So I walked in, and I was with like a group of people. It was like a small group, and then we had 2 guides as well. So what we did was we crawled through all of these little freaking pathways that were tiny, and we got into like this middle room that was like deep in this like cave system. And we were in the middle, and the guides were like, okay, we're going to play a game, and everyone's going to split off into these caves, and we're going to play like hide and seek.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Exactly. So I was like, I don't think so. I'm good. I'll stay here. You guys go play. I'm fine. I don't want to play. Something in me was like, just don't do it.
Yeah, just like absolutely not.
Yeah. And so I was sat there, and I think one other girl stayed as well because she was like, not feeling it, not the vibe.
Doesn't feel safe.
Exactly. And so it was us 2 girls, and it was one of the guides. It was this guy, and we started talking about creepy stories for some reason. And so we were like telling ghost stories. I was like, this is helpful.
This is exactly where you want to be telling ghost stories.
I know. But then he told me the creepiest story because, oh my God, it's all come back to me. So the reason we were telling creepy stories was because the girl that was with me, we'd spent the night before, and she was talking about how she wanted to do a Ouija board. And I like instantly, when she said it the night before when we were in like our little cabin, I was like, absolutely no, my mother will kill me.
Yeah.
I was like, even if she
bring it back,
no.
your mum would know. Your mum would know.
She would. I'd walk in, and she'd be like, you can leave.
I know what you did.
Yeah, nope. So at that night I was like, no way, I'm not doing that. But then we were telling scary stories, and I think she brought it up, and that's why it came up in conversation. And so we're telling scary stories, and then this guy told me this story that like tormented me, and like I guess that's why I repressed it.
Clearly repressed it.
It was so simple, like, when I think back at it, but it still really creeps me out. And he was basically saying, no, you should never, ever play with Ouija boards. And he was, like, really serious about it. His whole demeanour changed. He looked, like, upset. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, is he messing with us? Is he just telling us a story? But he looked, like, concerned. And he was, I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. But this girl next to me, she was like, why? Tell me why I shouldn't use a Ouija board.
Prove me wrong.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready. It's like when you watch BuzzFeed Unsolved now, you know, there's the two people. There's Ryan, and he's like, it's okay, ghosties, and there's Shane. He's like, fuck me up. That was the difference. I was the Ryan and she was the Shane. And it was too much. And so he was like, fine, I'll tell you the story. And basically, he'd been playing with a Ouija board with his friends, like a small group of friends. And they all had a skiing trip planned in the future. And it was really random, but like that, you'll see why that makes sense in a second. Okay. But they were playing with the Ouija board and they were asking it questions about the future. And one of their friends asked, when am I going to die?
You never ask a Ouija board that. Fool.
I know. But apparently this friend asked that. And the Ouija board replied with, on like skiing or something. And they already had a skiing trip booked, so I think the premise at the time, or the conclusion at the time actually, was someone was messing with it. Like, someone in the group was like messing around. Turns out that person was like going down a ski slope and actually died on that trip.
Oh my God.
And he was dead serious about it. He was like, you know, this is why you should never play with Ouija boards. My friend died, and it was, oh my God. And I was like, are you serious? And he was like, yes, I'm serious. He was like, don't play with Ouija boards. And we're just in this cave, and it's dark, and everyone's playing hide and seek. And I'm like, why? I don't want to know this. But yeah.
Oh my God.
But wow, thank you for
traumatic childhood memories.
Like, when I think back now, like, I guess it's not that bad, but I remember just being so scared of the actual caves and stuff.
Yeah, it's the location of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he was so serious, and I've never forgotten about it. Well, I've forgotten about the actual story, but I've never gone skiing, and every single time someone's like, do you want to go skiing? For some reason, I was like, no, I don't ever want to go skiing, but I guess that's why. I wonder if that is what that's been all those years. Oh, wow. Cool.
Bam. Well.
Wow.
Who knew we had something to contribute to this?
There we go. You're all welcome. I'm now re-traumatized.
Brilliant. We like that.
Oh, my God.
Shall I pick one up?
Hell yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, what I'm going to say about this story, from what I kind of started to read, is that this is not so much ghosty. It's more creepy, extraterrestrial kind of stuff going on. So, this is a story by a user on Your Ghost Stories called Mac Norton. I've not really read this properly, so hopefully it's good. So, I had a very bizarre and at the time very unsettling experience happen to me when I was 12 years old. I have decided to share this experience for two reasons, really. One is that it is just totally baffling, and the second is in the hope that someone else may have experienced the same thing, and therefore we can share together. Brackets, and I won't feel like such a freak. I have never mentioned this to anyone before now, mainly because I just had no idea how to process it in my then juvenile mind. This experience is not in the an evil shadow person appeared in my bed at 3 p.m. kind of account of stories. So apologies in advance to anyone wanting to be frightened or thrilled. I don't know if this will even be published because it's not technically a ghost story, and it does have an element of spirituality to it, and it could possibly be linked to other things. Okay. Anyway, here it is. When I was 11, I attended a school camp. I don't remember where it was or even the time of year. It was a non-eventful camp, and there was only one moment that I remember. That was an incredibly mundane, but was very important to the story. It was the evening, it was dark, and I was walking through the camp alone, along a concrete path through some buildings to my cabin. Pretty exciting, right? It gets more interesting, trust me. I then went on another school camp the following year when I was 12. A different camp, but again, I can't remember where it is, but it doesn't really matter to the story. It was during this camp that I found myself walking back to my cabin one evening, alone, along a concrete path, through some buildings. It was at this point that I thought to myself, this reminds me almost exactly of that time during last year's camp, or words to that effect. And it was at that point when, bang, swoosh, or zip, take your pick, I was suddenly back on that path at my 11-year-old camp, walking to my cabin. Now, this wasn't just a memory in my mind. I was completely there. What? It was as if I had literally travelled back in time and was walking along the path. This lasted for a couple of seconds. Then I was back on my 12-year-old self's campground. I knew instinctively that I had physically travelled back to my previous year's campsite. It's impossible, but it was as if I'd somehow revisited the memory in its eternity. It totally made sense. It's very hard to explain. I was totally immersed in this memory, and it didn't feel like a memory. Or I was somehow observing myself in a disconnected way, watching myself. I was actually there on that path again, completely reliving the moment in all its three-dimensional realness. All my senses were active. So naturally, I was very freaked out by that. I've never experienced anything like it, nor have I since. I remember that as soon as I returned, I just kept walking back to my cabin, with my heart rate slightly elevated, and knowing that I had somehow morphed back to my memory. At that time, I couldn't explain it at all. I was only 12. In terms of what I'm trying to understand, what I experienced, in the subsequent years, I read a lot about NDEs, or near-death experiences. One of the reoccurring themes was what is known as a life review. This is where the person who has died is shown their entire life in vivid three-dimensional panorama. In some cases, it's everything, including how they affected others positively and negatively. This is the only explanation that I have that could explain how it was impossible for me to experience what I did then. It would appear that everything we do in our lives is somehow stored and we can access it when we need to. My theory is that for some reason, I was suddenly accessing the path I was walking on, maybe because they were such similar events. I really don't know why it happened. It was such a mundane, boring moment, but I would love to hear other people's theories. Thanks for reading, Mac.
Oh my god.
So weird.
I feel like all I want to do is deep dive into different research theories about that. Oh my god,
creepy,
that's so
isn't
interesting.
I thought it was different. It's not your kind of normal ghost stuff.
I like it though. Yeah, that's so interesting that maybe it was like a near-death experience.
Yeah.
And it's just in like the idea that he travelled back or like reviewed the situation and he was like fully in it.
It's just a bit of a mind bend, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's like a physical sense of deja vu rather than just reliving the like emotions connected to a memory or something. It's the full thing. Ugh, creepy.
Oh, that's so weird. Wow. Okay, I like it. Okay, very nice. I'm going to take a sip.
You sip your tea and get ready.
Sippy. This one is called Summer Camp Demon Encounter.
Yes, love it.
Yes. I found this on Reddit. Did I find this on Reddit? Hang on. I've got it here. I did find this on Reddit.
Awesome.
On the Ghost Stories subreddit. That's the one. English words.
I'm struggling today as well. They're just not coming out right.
Happens to everyone. It's fine. And so this is by a user, Cloaky1. And like I said, Summer Camp Demon Encounter is, and in brackets, kind of long, but true.
I respect it. I'm ready for this.
Okay. So, I don't know if anyone's going to read this, but I feel I need to get my story out there. When I tell people this story, they brush it off and say, oh wow, that's creepy, but this event really took a toll on me. Anyway, this is a completely true story. I'll start off with a little introduction. Hi, my name's Chloe, I'm 17, and 2 summers ago, when I was 15 to 16, I worked at an average sleepaway summer camp. I never went to the camp when I was a kid, but I did some first aid / lifeguard training at it a year prior to being a counselor there. I've lost where I am already. And I loved it. That's why I decided to work there, got all my volunteer hours and spent my whole summer there, 4 weeks to be exact. Despite how run down it was and how crap the pay was, I really enjoyed it. It was right on the water, and I thought it was going to be nice. I was wrong, very wrong. Everything was okay, absolutely normal until my last week. So the last week the grammar in this isn't great. The grammar
This is
not
the issue,
great,
isn't it, with reading Reddits, but they're always so creepy.
I know, so I'm gonna try and like translate as I go, but my brain doesn't always work. So anyway, so the last week I worked as, wait, what is this sentence? So the last week I worked, oh, I got it. So the last week I worked was Senior Girls Week, meaning girls aged like 11 to 14 could attend, and all of the counsellors were female. I had a cabin of 5 girls, 2 of which were brats, so most of my time was delegated to them. All of these were 11 or 12 years old. Now, the first 2 days of camp were fairly normal. I had a few homesick campers at bedtime, but with some positive reassurance, I got them back to sleep. Homesickness with kids is only ever usually a problem at night, specifically the first few nights, as the kids just adjust from being away from home. That's why I was so surprised when one of the most independent girls in my cabin woke me up by standing in front of me and waiting for me to wake up, really creepy, on the 3rd night. She tells me that she thinks there's something outside and that she wants to go home. And then in brackets says this camp was on an island surrounded by a forest. Yeah. I told her it was probably an animal, and it was notorious for deer and raccoons at the camp very often. And with some reassurance, I got her to go back to bed. Now, I did not think twice about this. Having worked 3 weeks already, it was pretty common, honestly. That kind of makes sense to me. Like, I bet kids hear stuff all the time.
Oh my God, yes. You just don't think things, don't you?
Definitely. And then if you're away from your family and you're a kid and you're
it's
like
my blooming
around
horse.
the woods, it's like your horse, but I actually believe that horse was a thing. Anyway. Right. Now, this is where shit starts getting weird. I'm reading word for word. I'm not just adding profanity for the sake of it.
It's good. We like that.
The next night, night 4, she does the same thing and wakes me up. She tells me that she has to go to the bathroom, which is a bit of a walk away from our cabin. I go with her, obviously. Once we're in the bathroom and the light is on, it's pretty clear to me that she'd wet herself. So I asked her about it and she said it was just an accident. All right, I had no problem with this. I let her get herself cleaned up and I went to one of the camp leaders, wondering what I should do about the girl's sleeping bag. So the camp leader, her name was Elmo. Everyone in the camp had code names, something fun for the kids, I guess. The girl in question's name is Corinne. I don't know, I haven't mentioned that yet. This is all, I'm reading her brackets, by the way. So Elmo starts to ask this girl some questions. We're still in the bathroom. I assume it was because this girl is 11, which is kind of odd to be peeing the bed, especially when she was so independent thus far in the week and never had a problem going to the bathroom herself before. So Elmo asked Karen if there was any reason for the accident, and Karen answered that it was because she was scared. She was too scared to move and get out of her sleeping bag. Elmo asked her what she was afraid of, and Karen said, the man.
Oh, no.
Now, I was standing over on the side, listening and chiming in here and there. I'm a believer of ghosts, openly, but at this moment I can admit I did not think anything of this. The kids here come up with stuff, especially having worked with kids for 3 weeks, I really wasn't that fazed. Elmo asked Karen what man she was referring to, and she couldn't seem to name him, but she described him. The description is terrifying. Elmo asked if he was tall. Karen said no, he was average height. Elmo kept trying to joke around with this girl, I guess to try and make her fears less scary, but this girl was not having that shit. It's like she was, I love that. It's like she was trying to warn us, for real. Just how she spoke. Anyways, she told us over a long period of Q&As that this demon is average height and not nice. He's a man, but he's not human. Oh, that's gross.
Oh my God.
She said that he had been following her and her brother for a long time. She told us that one day she was playing in the forest at her grandparents' house and that's when she met him. Oh. He scared her and she ran away from him. She said he's always followed her and he's always with her when she sleeps away at different places. Honest to God, I should have seen the red flags all over this shit, but I didn't. I was tired and it sounded like a kid's nightmare after watching a horror movie or something. After all that, my leader Elmo got this girl to calm down. She was crying when she told us all of this and got her back to bed with new sheets and blankets and stuff. And she told Karen that our repair guy, Shank, was going to do some ghost busting for her in the morning and that everything would be okay, blah, blah, blah. Makes sense. This morning at the counsellors' meeting, before the kids are up, I told my counsellor friends about this. I didn't tell all the counsellors, just my close personal friends. I didn't want this, what I believe to be funny, ghost story to get out to the kids because that wouldn't be good. Kids take things seriously and I didn't want any of them thinking of this. We all laughed about it and shrugged it off, vowed not to tell anyone else what the girl had said. Well, just as I wrapped up the story to them, the other counsellor girl named Ace walks into the break room. We didn't like Ace. She was honestly a bitch. This is the best narration.
I just love the personal opinions thrown in.
We didn't like Ace. She was honestly a bitch. Oh my god. But we make small talk anyways, and then she tells us something that had my whole group shook. Ace tells us that later last night, 2 girls from her cabin, aged 13, went to the bathroom together. As they were coming back from the bathroom, the 2 campers started to freak out and run. They felt like something was following them. They were both crying apparently when they got back to Ace's cabin, and Ace had to calm them down and got them back to sleep eventually. Now that was weird. My friend group and I decided not to tell Ace about my situation because she had a big mouth and was probably going to start something around the camp, which we were trying to avoid. The rest of the day went by fine, completely normally. Near the end of the day, after the campfire, Shank, the repair guy, invited me, Elmo, and Curran into the kitchen, and he blessed this bag of salt for us. Now, he was doing this mostly for the comfort of Karen, and like a joke thing you would do for kids to give them reassurance.
Oh, I like that.
Shank, it's sweet, isn't it? But Shank was told us to be careful anyway. He didn't like the way the situation was feeling. I just laughed and brushed him off. We spread the salt on doorways, windows, and lined it so the demon couldn't enter. Well, I thought this would solve all of our foolish problems. Wrong.
Oh my god.
Karen pulls me aside before bedtime and looks up at me with the saddest face I've ever seen on a child, and she says, "Ink," that's my code name, "this isn't going to work. I appreciate it a lot, but the demon likes salt. He's going to come for it." Oh my god. If that wasn't a perfect quote, it was something along those lines. Main point is, though, our new demon friend likes salt. It was at this moment that everything hit me. I don't know why I started having a panic attack. I didn't let the kids in the room see, though. I told Karen just to try to get some rest, and I slipped out and ran to the kitchen in tears. I begged Shank to let me sleep in the break room, and have one of the senior staff members take my cabin over for the night. He hugged me as I cried. I was so freaked out all of a sudden, and I didn't know why. It would all hit me at once. I was overrun with terror, which I've never felt before or since. I felt as though something very bad was going to happen.
Oh man.
That makes me uncomfortable. Shank gave me another bag of blessed salt to keep with me.
How many bags of salt are at the summer camp?
And then it says in brackets, "This is all true. I can't make this shit up." And told me I had to sleep in the cabin. I had to protect those kids, and that it was God's plan for me. Reflection on this, I think that he's just fucking with me. But this bitch was horrified. I listened though. I clutched my flashlight and the bag of salt as I tried to sleep for the night. But I still had this ominous, horrific feeling of fear and death looming over me. It was so creepy. I should note that this cabin was a small room with just 4 bunk beds. Yeah, 4 sets of bunk beds. 2 on either side of the room and 2 windows. 1 at the back and 1 directly next to me. Directly outside the back window, there was this big tree. So there wasn't much of a view, but you could barely see out of mine. It must have been around 2 or 3 a.m., There were no phones allowed or any clocks in the cabin, so I had nothing to tell time or to Sarah except the surrounding darkness. This is when shit really hit the fan.
No, it gets worse.
Oh my god. Yeah. All the girls in my cabin completely asleep. All inhale a deep breath at the same time and exhale the word ink. That's my code name.
No.
Oh my God. So I whisper back, "Are you girls awake?" And I get nothing.
That
Oh
is
my God.
awful.
After a few minutes of being absolutely petrified, I hear their normal snoring and shuffling sleeping sounds begin once again. This wasn't the end of the creepiness that night for
Oh my
me,
God.
though. Oh no. Next, a while later, I hear the back door creak open.
No.
There was an outside screen door and an inside actual door. I had both doors closed. I hear the outer one creaking open. I become alert immediately, adrenaline coursing through me. I'm looking out my window at the door, trying to see anything in the pitch blackness, when I see a black flash to my right. I look over and I see this entirely black being leaning over one of my girls on the bottom bunk from me. And as soon as I notice it, I see it reaching for the girl's face.
No.
I flicked my flashlight on and grabbed the bag of salt and I said, "God loves me, God loves me, God loves me," over and over again. I shit y'all not. I see this black mass dart towards the door and the door just opens, the inner door. It opens up wide and I believe the demon has left. I still felt absolutely freaked out, but I didn't feel the same weight of terror as before. I didn't sleep a wink that night.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. As soon as I saw the sun start to come up from my window, I darted up and over to my good friend Marco's cabin. Before I can tell her anything of what I just saw, she tells me that she was woken up in the middle of the night by someone breathing heavily outside her window next to her bed. But when she got up to check it out, thinking it was the kid or something, all she saw was a dark figure turning and going into the bushes. She didn't see anything else. She brushed it off as a deer, probably. We went for an early morning shower and I told her everything.
Oh my God, that makes me want to sob.
I know. That's not the end, though.
No! It is. I'm done.
Literally, that's not the end, though, even though that was my last night. And this was not the day we were supposed to leave. Marco and I were in the break room, waiting for others to wake up and join the morning meeting. Ace comes in and tells us something that made my blood run cold. Despite the fact that I had calmed down from the night's terrors and felt oddly peaceful, she said that she looked out her window before bed around midnight when the moon and stars were lighting shit up. I love this. I love the way this girl's written it. She's written it exactly as how I would tell you a story. And she said that she saw a black figure that looked like a person leaning against the tree behind my cabin, looking into the window.
Oh my God.
I might mention where she was describing to have seen the figure looking would have been directly facing Corinne's bed in our cabin.
No, Corinne.
Oh. At this point, I decided to tell Ace about everything. I told everyone there was too much substantial proof for them not to believe what I was telling them, which was the truth. Ace never knew about what Corinne told me and Elmo / my experience with the demon, and yet she had 2 experiences of her own, with girls being followed and seeing something looking into my cabin, which seemed to match the description. And Elmo was there when Corinne was telling us the story of the demon. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
When I got home from my week, I vowed to never go back to that camp. Yet I felt oddly safe. I didn't feel like the demon had followed me at all. I felt so oddly calm and peaceful in the following days. I told one of my friends who often had spiritual encounters and asked what he thought. He told me something that creeped me out once again. He told me when I was at that camp, the same night I had the encounter with the demon, a spirit told him or showed him something that I was in grave danger. Oh my God. And he said that he was praying for me that night repeatedly because he felt a connection to me and that something really bad was going on. He was so shocked to hear my story when I told him. He was positive that I'd encountered some kind of demon that had latched itself onto that girl. I really hope that girl is okay.
Yeah,
I'm
Corinne.
so sorry, Corinne.
Poor little Corinne.
I know. Right. I'm almost done. I'm still freaked out. English, my words just stopped. I'm still freaked out by this experience today. This is a true story. No part of it is made up or exaggerated. If you actually read this or are reading this, then let me know what you think. I don't know a lot about paranormal. Honestly, it scares me, especially now. But please tell me what you think it was, or what you think, or what I saw, or what could have been heard. and all of this, which parts could be a figment of my imagination. I hoped it was, but when I got up in the morning, the door I know had closed the night before was still open after I saw the figure open it and dart out. I'm pretty sure it was real. Anyway, stay safe, guys. Pray for the girl Corinne and hope she doesn't still have the demon following her.
Oh, poor Corinne.
Poor Corinne. Oh my god.
When she said she'd woke up and grabbed her bag of salt, all I could think was, if that was me, I would lob my bag of salt at that figure and probably hit the kid in the face.
Yeah.
I could just envision it happening.
Oh my god, that was terrifying.
That was intense. Reddit is always the best and worst for creepy stories.
Oh my god, that was so scary.
That's horrendous. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I didn't read the whole thing. They just skimmed it.
They keep doing this to us.
Okay, I need a moment to recover from that.
Oh god.
Poor Corinne.
Poor Corinne.
Mm.
Let's just hope that poor little Corinne has had a much more pleasant experience now.
I think it's just the whole he likes salt.
I know. You'd be like, for God's sake, what else am I supposed to do?
That sentence was just so creepy. Where it was this isn't going to work. I appreciate it a lot, but the demon likes salt. He's going to come for it.
Horrendous.
Disgusting.
Well, it's awful. Just everything about that is terrifying.
I can't even digest it. I can't.
Okay. I'm going to tell my next one while we recover from this, because I don't think this is going to be as bad. But it is another Reddit story. And it's by the author Lacey Lil Shit. So we're sticking with the good names.
I love it.
And it's just entitled, I Used to Work at a Summer Camp.
Cool.
I worked at this summer camp while I was growing up for about 7 summers. I loved this camp, but there were some places that just creeped me out. This story takes place on the side of the camp that is further away from the main camp. There was a building and 2 camp units / campgrounds where we would stay in, I don't know what this word means, Adirondacks? Oh, these are like small cabins, but one wall is completely screened. Oh, I don't like the sound of that.
No.
The unit I was staying in was called Trail's End. The other, where 3 of my co-workers and campers were staying. I had some minor experiences all over camp, but this night was by far the most intense, and most of it didn't happen to me. We had finally gotten the campers quiet and in bed. They were young, so most of them fell asleep quickly. As I was climbing up to my bunk, I heard a small girl's voice say, as though about to ask a question. Startled, I turned, and my 2 co-workers looked as well. There was no one. There were no flashlights. There wasn't a camper, nothing. We didn't hear anyone walking up to the cabin. We would have heard the leaves crunching. Nothing. We all looked at each other, and one of my co-workers spoke. We are going to pretend that was my stomach and go to sleep. We agreed. I like that coping strategy.
I like it.
The next morning, we were in the building for breakfast, and our 3 co-workers who stayed in the other unit, Cimarron, were talking anxiously among themselves. We asked what's wrong. Turns out their night got really weird very fast.
Oh, God.
These co-workers were some of the most level-headed staff who did not believe in ghosts and took no nonsense. To hear this story from them shook me. All night, they heard a voice go, "Hey," all around their cabin. It would come from the left, then the right, then another location. They didn't hear footsteps. Trust me, if someone's there, you'd hear them. And it wasn't a girl's voice, and it wasn't a man's voice. It was just all hoarse and rough.
Oh my God.
It got so bad that they called 3 admin staff who were even more no bullshit than them, and they stayed for about 10 minutes before saying, "You're on your own," and bailing. No one stayed in Cimarron for the rest of the summer. The worst case, they stayed in Trail's End or the building, but not Cimarron. The weird thing is, about a week or so before, I was in the unit as well. Different co-workers, different campers, but one night, one of the girls came over saying a campmate needed help. We have 2 major rules, no running, and you have to have a buddy. She couldn't get a buddy to go with her, so she ran. She tried to run back, but I stopped her since it was dark and she could trip. I asked her why she was walking so fast. "Oh, I just got the feeling like something is following me and watching me." I got chills. I looked around to make sure nothing was watching or following us. All I could see were the tall trees. I remember years ago, before this, when I was a counsellor in training, me and my campmates and our substitute counsellor had huddled up in the unit's dining area, where there were at least screen walls. It had stormed, and that was the safest place. We all felt watched. Even after the storm ended, we stayed there out of fear and anxiety. Some of the units at the camp are weird, but Cimarron is and has always been the creepiest.
Oh, God.
So that's a little bit of a lighter one.
Lighter, but still creeps me out.
All of them are just creepy. I think it's like the imagery of like a woods and stuff that's a little bit creepy.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just like, you feel helpless.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
I like it. My next one is called Disturbing Camping Encounter.
Sounds good. I like.
Yeah. Also from Reddit, but I found this on Let's Not Meet.
Okay.
And the user actually deleted their account.
Ooh.
So I don't know what their name is or anything, but I still have their story.
Exciting.
So, first it says background. It's like a section. It says, I work summers as a camp counsellor in the northern parts of Ontario, Canada.
Ooh.
I know, that's kind of cool.
My next one's from Canada as well.
No way.
How weird.
Love it. On the date this particular incident occurred, I was camping with a group of 10 10-old boys. What? 10-year-old boys on the same lake the summer camp was based on. So like a routine camping trip, we canoe out to the side that we set up our tents. Me and my co-counsellor Mike turn up to supervise the kids while they swim, build forts, and play games. We cook some food over the fire and sit around and tell stories, cook s'mores, typical Canadian camping experience. Sounds great.
It does sound nice.
Yeah. Around 9:30ish, I tell the kids it's time for bed, and they head into their tents, which we positioned a small walk away from the shoreline, but still in line of sight from where we had the fire pit. So the kids have gone to bed, and me and Mike are shooting the shit by the water, smoking a cigarette, just basically hanging out before we decide to head into our tent and call it a night. What happened next still troubles me to this day and remains my go-to scary campfire story. We were both gazing into the pitch black night water when we saw a small light approaching us slowly and slightly above the water level. We speculated what it could possibly be for a few minutes before it came close enough for us to see that it was mounted on the front of a kayak and that someone was approaching our campsite. Now, it's important to note that as a camp counsellor, part of the training goes over how to deal with the stranger encounter in the environment where we are responsible for a group of children on public property. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's good training.
Yeah. I was prepared to give the mystery paddler a typical speech about how we are camping with a group from a recognised organisation, and we would respectfully ask that they find another campsite. However, this person's appearance shook me to the bone as the light drew nearer. I don't want to know. Paddling this kayak was a woman who looked to be in her 60s. She had incredibly long wisps of grey hair that were trailing in the water. Her skin looked like old leather, and her dead-looking eyes were tough to spot under all her wrinkles. She looked directly at me, and when she spoke, I realised she was missing most of her teeth. Oh my God. Are all your children safe in bed? She asked me, pointing in the direction of the tent.
No.
Not really knowing how to respond, and quite frankly shitting myself, I responded by telling her they were fine and she had to leave. That's good. Just as expected for this time. Is that what she said? She said this with a smile and then turned her kayak and paddled off into the night. Okay.
Ew.
Yeah, very gross. At this point in time, myself and Mike were legitimately creeped out, not only by the appearance of the mystery woman who resembled a freaking corpse, but also her inquiry about the whereabouts and the safety of the kids we'd brought on this trip. Not knowing what else to do, we grabbed our hunting knives and sat by the fire after checking on the kids. Half an hour later is where shit started to really get creepy.
Oh my God, it gets worse.
Across the lake, a female counsellor was leading another trip for kids of the same age group. She sent me a text which read something along the lines of, "Hey Sean, stop screwing with us. This isn't funny. My kids are really creeped out." I instantly called her and let her know what I'd just seen near my campsite that seemed eerie, and that I was not playing a joke. Apparently, one of their kids opened their tent door to take a piss and saw a woman with long hair standing with her arms open towards them near the shoreline.
Oh my God, no.
Oh,
Awful.
I can't even imagine.
You have found the creepiest stories today, I swear. No, just no.
I wish. I'm sorry, I didn't read these before. Oh my God. Wow.
Ew.
Wow. Yeah, there you go.
Is that it? That's the end of the
That's
story?
it.
Oh my God,
That's
I needed
it.
more of a conclusion than that.
There isn't one.
Oh my God.
Oh my God,
Bloody
that's
hell.
so cruel. It was that description of her.
Yeah, I don't like it. And can you imagine opening like your tent door?
And what was it? A woman with long hair standing with her arms open towards
no.
the. You open your tent door and there's a woman staring at you with her arms open. She's got long grey hair and looks like a corpse.
Oh my God.
No, thank you.
We'd probably go to
No,
my
thank
default
you.
of throwing something again.
You just turn
Maybe
and
like
be
my giant
so
bag
toilet.
of salt that I currently. Yeah, I've got two options: a giant bag of salt, or just like, well, they were already going to the toilet. Like that's my defense mechanism gone.
Yeah. Well, the salt things like got me a bit shook still because like I thought like you could have like salt protections, but do demons just like salt?
Maybe it's just like one with a little bit of a curious tongue.
Curious tongue.
I don't know why those words just came out of my mouth.
I never thought I would hear a curious tongue come out of your mouth.
Describing a demon.
Oh God. Okay.
Oh my God, I'm officially losing it. Right, I'm reading my next story before I lose it completely. This is the last story I've got.
Okay.
So this is by the user Jada857 on Your Ghost Stories, and it's called A Summer Camp Haunting. Short and sweet.
Nice.
I'm still laughing. Oh my God. Okay, get it together, girl. This happened to me a couple of years ago. I was 10 years old in grade 5. My class went to summer camp for 2 nights. It started on the first night. My friends and I were talking and telling stories when I noticed there was some writing on my bunk. Someone had written a story in pencil. I read it over and then called everyone over to look. I don't remember the exact wording, but it went a little like this. One night, a bunch of us decided to sneak out of our cabin into the mess hall. The sky was completely clear. We snuck in and started messing around, chasing each other and jumping on tables. Suddenly, there was a flash of light and a crack of thunder, but the sky was still clear. We freaked out and ran back to our cabin. A few of the girls thought it was nothing, but me and a couple others had this strange feeling that it was true. Suddenly, we didn't feel safe in our own cabin anymore. Anyways, we went to sleep, and sometime in the middle of the night, the ones who believed the story, me included, all woke up and there was a flash of light and a crack of thunder, same as the story. We all fell back asleep almost instantly.
What?
When I woke up the next morning, I thought it had just been a dream, but then my friend asked about it. She had seen and heard it too, and so had the others who had believed. Now we were really scared. The only thing was, there had been no thunder and lightning the night before. It was just us. The day went on pretty normal, and then that night something even stranger happened. A bunch of the girls were looking out of the window, not me at the time, when suddenly they started freaking out and telling the others to come look. I rushed to the window, and what I saw was impossible. There was a little girl about 4 years old skipping through the forest wearing a white dress. When she went behind a tree, she didn't come out the other side. She just disappeared. The other girls said that she stopped and waved at them before skipping away. We went out to find her, but she was completely gone. No one else believed us, but we all know what we saw. The story was true, and the little girl was real. Or at least she used to be. I think she was a ghost. None of us have seen her since, but none of us can forget those nights. So that really was a short and sweet one, but
oh my God, you're right though, that's creepy.
I don't think I'm ever going camping, or like, obviously as a 22-year-old I can't envision myself going on a summer camp currently. But I don't think I will ever be doing that again anyway.
These stories just like shatter my idea of like having a cute lake house and like having people over and like having a fire pit and
Creepy.
just makes me never want to do any of that ever.
Oh my god.
So creepy.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oh, okay. I have one more.
Okay.
I have a few here, but I think I'm gonna go for this one.
Yeah.
I think you can't see which one I'm gesturing to, but I can envision it.
I can envision it's a good one.
I hope so. I don't think it's quite like the other two, which I'm glad about.
Yeah, I think we need to finish on a little bit of a lighter note.
Well, we'll see. I haven't read this one fully, so
it could be the worst.
Yeah. This was also from Reddit, but it was from a specific subreddit about camping stories, like camping ghosty stories. So, when I was 17 or so, 2 friends and I decided to camp in the field next to my housing estate so we could drink beer and listen to music as loud as we wanted. Fair. That does sound kind of fun. This was a huge grassy field on a slight hill where all the surrounding houses were far away enough so that we didn't disturb the neighbours and we couldn't be seen by anyone unless they were extremely close to our tent. It became late and my 2 friends had fallen asleep. I was having trouble sleeping around this time, so I lay awake for hours just thinking. Around 4 a.m, I heard the distinct sound of grass and vegetation as someone walked on it outside of our tent. I was stunned with terror. For one, because it was a privately owned field by a farmer who would probably be angry to find us there, but more so because I hadn't heard anyone approaching. Just suddenly there was someone outside the tent. I held my breath out of fear and shock, which is when I heard another set of footsteps belonging to a dog by the sound of it. Interesting. Filled with dread, I just lay as still as possible, breathing slowly and quietly, listening to this person and his dog. Okay, guess it's a guy ghost. Established, yeah. Walking back and forth outside the tent. I thought we were going to get shot or beaten by this dude. Then I saw this guy's shadow, which freaked me out a hell of a lot more than it already was. It was huge and looming over us every time we passed our tent. And I couldn't see the dog's shadow, even though I heard it making increasingly erratic circulations of the tent. This carried on for around 5 minutes, although it felt like much more time had passed. The shadows disappeared and the sounds faded away. They didn't leave or anything. It was more like they were just... English. It was more like they were still walking outside the tent, but with perpetually lighter footing. When I was sure that the sounds had ceased and there was no threat waiting for me outside, I freaked out at my friends, still as quietly as possible, and said that we had to go because someone knew we were here and we would get in trouble with the owner. I told them everything that had happened and they didn't believe me, thinking I'd been asleep as well and dreamt the whole thing. I assured them I hadn't and that we had to go right now. They tried to get me to go back to sleep, ignoring me because they're lazy as hell and didn't want to pack everything up and go. I gave up too, even though I knew that I wouldn't ever be able to get back to sleep. 10 minutes later, the sound returned, and just like the volume outside had been turned up gradually, I felt the same dread I had before. And I whispered one of my friends' names so they would wake up and hear, "Shh," one said. They had already heard and told me to open the tent to see who was terrorizing us. I did so, slowly easing my hand out of the sleeping bag and up to the zipper.
Oh God, why would you do that?
I know. It probably took 5 minutes for me to reach it, just so I wasn't sure that I would make a sound. And I pulled it down so violently that I nearly ripped the whole thing off. There was nobody there.
No.
We got out within the space of 5 seconds and there was nobody there. As I mentioned, we were atop a hill in the middle of a field, and so we could see if anyone had decided to run, but there was nothing. Even though it was impossible for anyone to escape me seeing them, I am absolutely positive there were footsteps outside of our tent that night.
Oh God.
Oof, creepy.
At least that one was less creepy. We did good.
Yeah, but I'm glad, because if that one would have been as creepy as the other ones, I don't think I would have been able to handle it.
No, we finished on no more trauma.
Good, I like it. Wow, okay.
Oh.
I need a second.
Digest all of that experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go and tell everyone I can about these stories and just send them to people because they're so creepy.
They are terrifying. Well,
well, that's it for today. Sorry for creeping you out.
good luck with your sleep schedule.
Yep, and hopefully next week you'll be able to see us.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That's exciting.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of nervous though. And also, I always read from screens, so I'm wondering how it's going to look.
Yeah, I probably need to stop wearing like pajamas while I do it as well.
Yeah. I only have like a big t-shirt on, so
We have
probably going to have to get dressed.
God.
God forbid. But anyway, that's next week's problem.
Yeah, we'll deal with that then.
Thank you for listening today. Sorry for creeping you all out, but yeah, thank you.
And we'll hear you again soon. You'll hear us again soon.
And maybe you'll see us soon.
Yeah, I'm just losing my mind.
Hell yeah. See ya.
Bye.